Let's stand tall, reach into the fingers, let's separate the ankles, and we're going to stretch up to the ceilings, grab, bend the knees, soften the knees, and a nice big offering goddess, open arms, elbows in towards the waist, knees open wide. So stick with that, stretching up, climbing, spreading the bones of the fingers, letting the hips sway side to side. Deep breath in, then grab, feet pointing out wide, and strong arms, shoulder blades come together, lengthen the neck, elbows into the waist, knees open wide. Let's have 2 more of those. Maybe adding a little bit of a cross-body stretch. Breathing in through the nose, and then option to breathe out of the mouth like a big sigh of relief. But fully empty the lungs, so we bring the front ribs together, tummy bottom back to the spine, each successive breath being a little bit more active. Here's the last one here. Nice big stretch, and then we're going to take 2 rounds of Pilates, roll down and roll up. But the first one will hang like a ragdoll so that we can really allow the backs of the legs to stretch. Deep breath in, so the last time, shoulders back and down, chest wide open, bend the knees. Let the head loll, just finding any release in the neck there. And then back up to standing. Feet hip distance apart, chin to chest, and try and flex from the top down. Straight away, arms heavy, head heavy. Then if you close the eyes, because we're all meeting a ragdoll fold, you can take your time and just allow the shoulder blades to separate, moving away from the spine, and just noticing any sensations down the spine as we start to flex forwards. Taking particular care and attention time over that lower back with softened knees. That just allows us to get a little bit more release in the lower back where usually it's needed. And then let's meet in that forward fold. So heads hanging, arms dangling. If you're very deep into the forward fold, you might want to interlock those forearms. Let's just pause here just for a couple of breaths, feeling the weight into the toes, then into the heels. And just allowing the breath to settle and the body to still. So the legs are straight but off lock. I've got a little bit of a bend there. We can still get a really good stretch for the hamstrings, the calf muscles, getting a bit of length with a little bit of a bend in the knees. Release the forearms if they're interlocked. Remember to soften the knees and rebuild the spine. We'll take 1 more roll down and roll up with a bit more fluidity, speed. So the top rolling the shoulders back and down, and let's go. We've only got 1 more round. Rolling down through the spine, maybe a little bit of a sway on the way down. Pause just long enough to allow yourself to come into your fullest forward stretch, then soften the knees and roll up through the spine. Let's take the legs out wide, toes slightly turned out, roll the shoulders back and down and take a side bend. Allow the hips to go in the opposite direction, shoulders are stacked. Now engage the core and come back up to standing. Everything symmetrical, over to the other side. Let's take 1 more. You can intensify the stretch by taking your top arm overhead. So always using your core to rebuild the spine and come back up to standing. Reaching for the side wall. Try and keep the hips fairly square. Engage your core back up to standing, other side. Breathing deeply. Feel an expansion in the ribs. Stretching into the fingertips. Engagement. And coming up. Now with a bend in the leg, turn the right toes to the right, a bend and stretch overhead. Trying to feel length from the little toe all the way up the side of the body into the fingers. Maybe the hand comes to the floor. And then over to the other side, change the angle of the feet. Now left toes out to the left, take a bend. Inner thigh stretch, reaching overhead, long line from the fingertips. Down the leg, option to take the hand to the floor. Stretch and breathe. And then back up to standing. Let's hold the right wrist and just massage around the joint. A little bit of movement up and down. fist and spread the fingers, and then work your fingers down to the forearm and just get your fingers in there. Hopefully that all feels all nice and squidgy and there's no sensation, but it's quite a small muscle to support our upper body weight, as it often does. So good to give it a little bit of nurturing there. Other side. We're coming on to sun salutations in a moment. So we're on the second wrist, massaging, just pulling and squeezing fists and spreading the fingers, and then working your fingers down to the belly of the muscle of the forearm, giving it a good squish. So I'm going to use the leg that I'm saying for a change. I'm not going to mirror you. So if I say we step back with the right leg, I'll be stepping back with the right leg. We've just got 2 rounds, and we'll do left and right in each set. When you're ready, shrug out the shoulders, come to the front of your space. We'll be going nice and slowly, so don't worry if you're not familiar with the sun salutations. Squeeze your glutes, tilt the pelvis, and close the eyes just for a moment and feel that Tadasana mountain pose. Length through the body. Feel the feet pressing into the floor as the top of the head reaches for the ceiling, shoulders relaxed and down, chest open wide, and let's take a deep breath in. Open the arms wide and reach overhead. As you breathe out, press the air down. So right away, we're feeling some engagement between the shoulder blades. Hands come to the floor. Bend the knees as much as you need to. We're stepping the right foot far back, lowering the knee and releasing the toe. Keep the right hand on the floor, and we take a twist. Now, first of all, try and take your belly into the twist, then the ribs, and then as you lift the arm, see if you can see your armpit. If the arm's too far forwards, hold the shoulder and guide it back. So rather than rush into, sometimes I feel it for my shoulders a little bit rounding, the shoulders coming forwards. I'm exaggerating so that you can see what I mean. If the shoulder's dropping, work on that rotation in the spine, sacking of the shoulders, and use the hands to encourage the shoulder back. Just one more deep breath here, and then we're taking the twist the other way. This outstretched hand, same hand as foot, big toe side. Lift, same thing. Turn your belly to the side wall, turn your chest to the side wall. Open the chest at the top arm and lift the arm if you can see the armpit. If the shoulder's rounding, hold on to the shoulder and guide it into that more externally rotated position. Pause. And then let's frame that front foot. We're going to take a down dog and then do the same on the other leg. So at the moment, it's the left foot forwards, it will be the right. So step back and pedal it through, finding length in the spine, the backs of the legs, shake out the head. In a moment, we're stepping the right foot forwards, and we'll do the same twist sequence with the right leg forwards. Soften the knees, step or help the right foot forwards, lower your back knee, release the toes. We'll start with the twist. So the left hand, opposite hand stays on the floor. Turn your belly back, chest back, help the shoulder back, taking the twist right up into this neck. Maybe lift the arm, maybe keep helping that opening pec stretch on the right side. Breathing deeply, try and press into the back shin, the top of the foot. Try and hug the center line of the mat with the inner thighs. Let's take it to the other side. Hand on the inside, big toe side, so that the knee and the upper arm can press into each other. Turn the belly, the ribs, the shoulder, and then from that position, we might get a really nice open chest with our twist. Otherwise, just helping to coax the shoulder back, no tension in the head, neck, soft face. We're going to step back to all fours. Hand on the floor, step your right foot back, we're on all fours. Chaturanga, so we're either in a knee plank or you lift the knees. We're coming down to the belly with the elbows brushing the waist. So if you're coming to your Chaturanga through to a Cobra, adjust forwards and lower as one strong plank, and let's adjust the hands forwards and come up to a Cobra. So the elbows stay bent, shoulders down, neck long, squeezing the glutes, pointing the toes away. Try and have the sensation that you're lifting the tummy bottom back to the spine so that there's some engagement in the core. We're going to meet back in a down dog and walk the hands and the feet together. That's one set done. So slide the hands back under the shoulders, tuck your toes, and let's meet back in a down dog. Pedal it through from one foot to the other, and then start to walk the feet up towards the hands. From a Ragdoll Fold, press into the feet, stand tall, open the arms wide, stretch overhead, breathe into the hands meet, and breathe out to heart center. Just one more round. This time, breathe in, allow the palms to meet, keep the hands together, slightly in front of the body. Now, feet hip distance apart, soften the knees, but like you're going to sit in a chair, and pause in a high Utkatasana position. So it's a smallish bend. We're reaching forwards and up through the arms and breathing deeply. Let's take it a little bit lower. Let's look down and check you can see your toes. Lengthening, the hips come a little bit lower. If you're starting to feel a little bit desperate, as can happen in the chair pose, you can place your hands on the hips. But challenge yourself. Maybe just separating the hands will be enough relief. We're slowly coming down to a power chair. Palms towards the forwards, depending which direction you're in. And we can look at the toes, lengthen the spine. Front ribs come together, tummy bottom back to the spine, and hands to the floor. Let's step the left foot back first this time. We're lowering the heel, think warrior one. So it's at a 45-degree angle, and lift up through the upper body. We're all there. So your right knee's bent, knee over the ankle, hips square to the front, shoulders back and down. Your back leg straight. Now find a tilt in the pelvis. We're working the hip flexors of this left hip. Roll the shoulders back and down. Either hands helping to channel the hips forwards, or have a go at lifting the arms. Shoulders down, bottom tucked, and we have a straight line of that kind of central column of the torso. So avoid leaning back initially, just feel a long, strong line. Squeeze the glutes, that pelvic tilt. Take a deep breath in here. Now, assuming we've all got our right knee forward and bent, bend the right elbow and cradle ahead. With the left arm, reach up, back, and down your back leg, and take a peaceful warrior. So this left shoulder melts down, hand on the back of the leg, wherever it falls. Your front knee is still charging forwards. We're still firing up those gluteals and holding the head with this right hand. You can always support the neck and encourage a lengthening of the neck and allow the shoulders to melt down. We're externally rotating this front knee and still squeezing the glutes. There's a little bit of a back bend here as we maybe look forwards and up the wall in front. No straining, but grip the floor. See if you can engage the legs just for one more breath here, like you're drawing the feet together. And then windmill the hands down. We're going to step back to a down dog so that we can do the same in the other leg. So your right foot's forward now. It will be your left foot that we step forwards. So pedal it through just to reset the hips. I'm going to swivel around to the other side so I won't have my back to you. So when you're ready, soften the knees. It's your left foot which is stepping to the front, warrior one. We'll lower the back heel at an angle and we'll lift up. You can hold the thigh to help stabilize you. Come to a lifted position, hips square. Roll the shoulders back and down. Now let's find that pelvic tilt so we can give a yummy stretch for those hip flexors on the right. We can charge the hips forwards a little bit so that the knee, front knee, comes over the ankle. And feel free to adjust the level, the distance between your legs. You want to feel that you can grip the floor and stabilize, lengthen through the upper body. So squaring up the hips to the front, shoulders back and down. Now if we close these front ribs with a tilted pelvis, core really strong. Now we can lift the arms, shoulders back and down, and lengthen the neck. Breathing deeply, hands could come to prayer. Breathe deeply, or we can come to a wider V shape, but keep everything square to the front and try to maintain that tilt in the pelvis. We're nearly through. So, assuming your left knee is forwards, we're bending the left elbow. Support the head. See my hands right down, fingers down the neck. Now, keeping the legs in the same position, the right arm, backstroke opening, and allow the fingers to find the back leg. Squeezing the glutes, peaceful warrior. Now, try and engage and use the whole body. So we're trying to hug everything towards the central point on the mat. Legs drawn together, glutes drawn together. A stretch, lengthening down the left side of the body. The elbow, left elbow, reaching to the ceiling, right fingertips down. Opening of the front hip. You're nearly there. And let's windmill the arms down. This time we're staying on the floor. We're coming to all fours. So lifting the back heel, lowering the knee. And for our reset, let's take a cat-cow. Breathe in and look up. Breathing out, chin to chest, gently round the back. One more round, but with a little bit of a sway. So as you breathe in, chest comes forward. Maybe we get more of a flexion in the wrists. Body weight comes slightly forward. And then as you breathe out, chin to chest, rounding the back, starting to lower your hips towards your heels. Last of all, we'll take a circle in each direction. So the torso, as if it's drawing a big circle on the floor. But let's prioritize getting a nice stretch in the hips. So leaning into the hip. Almost taking a child pose. Feeling your way into a stretch for the other hip. And then the other way. Lean into the hip. And back. We're going to come onto our bellies and just work the muscles, the traps and these muscles between the shoulder blades, the upper back. So when you're ready, come down to your belly, arms in the cactus, shoulders back and down, forehead to the floor, legs straight. Now drawing the shoulders down, shoulder blades together, we can press into the hands and press up. Keep the glutes squeezed, pubic bone pressed into the mat, and then keeping some engagement between the shoulder blades, slow with control, lower back down. Now, if this is fairly easy, take a floating cobra position or floating, smaller movement, lifting the forearms, the arms, forehead off, using purely the strength of your back to lift and squeeze and control, slowly lowering down. Let's have 4 more, your version. You can put your fingertips on the floor. It just gives you a little bit more strength to lift. As long as we're concentrating on keeping the shoulders together and down, we're working those postural muscles and support for the upper back. You can let the head hang. We've previously talked about forest yoga, where they're very much in favor of just letting the head hang. And actually using many of the yoga postures that we take, the flows, to allow tension to flow out of the neck. So whichever version, floating cobra. Let's come to our last one here and make it work. Squeeze shoulders back and down, squeeze your glutes, lengthen the legs, and then hands down, tuck your toes and briefly take a child pose. We're going to be coming onto our bottoms with the knees bent, but just give yourself a moment here while I explain the next setup. So take your time joining me. We'll sit on the bottoms, knees bent, feet flat to the floor. We'll take a a flowing twist side to side with an option of coming to tabletop, so different levels of intensity. Let's link the knees with one of your forearms, and here, open the knees wide. So you're working your leg muscles, the arms, and with the free arm, breathe in and open the chest wide. Release, and let's take it to the other side. So we're drawing a big arc with the released arm, chest open wide, shoulders down, rotation for the spine. So let's have another set like this. Now, thinking ahead, if you feel your spine's all fine and this is all a nice flow, and you want a little bit more intensity, we can take the legs to a tabletop lifted position. So find your level. If we're taking a lifted position, hand on the opposite knee and open. We'll return, other knee, and take a nice wide open stretch. More intensity, legs stay lifted throughout, and you can add a lift and strength, lengthen of the released leg. So it's an oblique twist, balance, core rotation of the spine. We'll keep the feet on the floor. We're working the core well, arms, legs, and moving with the breath. Let's change the breath so that we take a twist on the exhalation, pause, tummy bottom back to the spine, lengthen the spine. Breathe in as we switch. Breathe out to take a twist, shoulders down, tummy bottom back to the spine. Think front ribs together as well as navel in, lengthening through the spine. Last set. Deep breath in, open wide as you breathe out. Keep opening the knees, make your arms and legs work. On the last side, long spine. Nice easy flow, tummy bottom back to the spine, fully empty the lungs. Brilliant. Allow the legs just to flop side to side. And then we're going to cradle one leg and take it into a seated twist. So let's set up. Let's start with the left leg. Take the foot in the hand and cradle around the knee. Sitting up tall, lengthen the spine, try and keep both sit bones on the floor. If this is comfortable, maybe hold along the forearm, maybe the foot comes into the crease of the elbow. And again, let's just take a little bit of a sway from one bottom cheek to the other, and then lengthen. Very tempting to round the shoulders here, puff the chest out, and start to swivel over the knee that's on the floor. We're trying to get to the floor, it might be up in the air. So swiveling, if you've got your left knee lifted, we're swiveling around to the right. We're preparing this left hip for a seated twist. So we may need to adjust your lower foot away from you so we've got a wider back base to balance on. And when you're ready, let's go ahead and place the foot on the outside of the thigh and then adjust back to get the sit bones towards the floor. Might take a little bit of coaxing and it might not be today. So just find some compromise where you feel you can start to lengthen through the spine, get this nice stretch in the left hip and start to hug the lifted thigh to the chest. All comfortable, all good. We can use your opposite arm to hug in and add on the spinal twist, but we want to make sure we don't lose the focus on stretching and getting nice release in those powerful glutes. So take a breath here, shoulders relaxed and down. Working towards both sit bones into the floor, working towards this foot flat to the floor. So try and press down through the big toe. Long spine, chest and thigh hugging together. Try to relax. If you find you're clenching, sometimes in this lower hip, we're just holding on for dear life. See if you can just relax and it'll go floppy. And allow gravity, just to allow any tension to drain out. Enjoy. We're going to switch to the other side. We'll be cradling the other leg, but let's take the legs out in front initially, have a little shake out, and then we'll cradle this right leg. So bend, find where's a secure hold where we can swivel over to the left, preparing this right hip. Where you've got a good solid hold, where you can start to lengthen up through the spine, chest and shin start to come together, sit bones grounding down. So the more we think about pressing down through the sit bones, the more we can lengthen up through the crown of the head, puff out the chest, shoulders down, and that swiveling action. Nice steady breath. Make sure you feel secure, so maybe your foot's extended, and that's absolutely fine. But let's start to make moves to placing this foot on the outside of the knee, trying to find that stability where we can sit down securely in a stable place and hug the thigh, knee and chest together. So we can close the eyes. For the second side, you know what to expect. We can just find a little bit of release, softening, and allow heaviness to come into the body. So whilst the crown of the head is lifting up to the ceiling, not the top of the head, remember the crown of the head, so chin's tucked in. Everything else can start to melt down. You can open through that right arm, shoulders softening down. And start to feel that two-way action of the sit bones bearing down and then everything else lifting up tall. Chest and thigh coming together, foot starting to come flat to the floor, more stable base. Chest open wide. We've got a bridge into a figure four. And then wipe us with a full body stretch, and that's it. Time's flown. This will feel nice for the spine. So here's our reset, a nice point of symmetry. Separating the feet, rolling down through the spine. Let's have the feet quite far from the bottom. Arms by the side of the body. Tilt the pelvis and roll up through the spine. Once you're in your lifted position, hands can come onto the hips. I'm going to get you to take that figure four glute stretch. Right ankle on the left thigh. Flex the foot and open the knee. Difficult to keep the hips square, but have that intention. And now roll down through the spine. Now threading through behind that thigh, drawing in. A gentle rock. Keep the foot flexed. External rotation of this top leg. Release down. Feet flat to the floor, roll up through the spine, through a bridge, stabilize the pelvis, and the other leg, lift, anchor the foot, let the knee drop out wide. Feel even here if you're clenching, or if you can just let a little bit of softening come into the hips, and then rolling down through the spine, threading through and drawing in. Using the elbow to add some external rotation to the hip, let's make sure the shoulders are relaxed and down. Chin in towards the neck, jaw soft. Lovely. Gently swaying. You may find at a certain point tipping over, you get a little bit more of a release in the hip. Just enjoy that for a moment. And then release the leg. Extend your left leg, right knee into the chest. Any knee niggles, hold behind the knee and draw in. Take a deep breath in to switch, legs overhead. Left knee into the chest, right leg extends. Both knees bent on either side of your mat or more than hip distance apart. Allow the knees to drop to one side. Stretch the arms overhead and take this half body stretch. So you're reaching out of your hips, stretching overhead and then pressing the knees down, squeezing the glutes. So we get a stretch for the front of the body into a twisted position. Lift the knees up to the ceiling, allow them to drop to the other side. Add that stretch overhead, maybe clasping the opposite wrist. Adding adding as much pressure into the knees to kind of squeeze the glutes, tilt the pelvis. And then come center. Hold behind the knees, roll on the spine. Come up to sitting. Cross-legged position, stretch overhead. Nice deep breath in. Right hand to the floor and release into a nice gentle side bend, head hanging up to the ceiling. Last side, your last stretch. And release down. Shrug out the shoulders. And have you done well? Amazing.